Yo. What's up? What's up, bro? What's up? Ado, what's up? What trade did you take in the last week? I've been trading ES and NQ. I traded NQ last week. I'm gonna just let a couple more people get in here and then we'll get it going. How's everybody doing? Trying to get the chat pulled up on OBS. Oh, I got it. There we go. All right, now I can see the chat. Boom. All right. Let's see. I'm just post on Twitter real quick, and then we'll get it going. How's everybody week, man? How's the weekend? I hope everybody had a good weekend. Gotta take the weekends to just decompress from the markets. What's up, Sean? I'm gonna just post on my other Discord and then we should be good. This beat is cool. Let's get started, boys. I got you. Like 1 minute. What's up, Derek? I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. All right. Your Discord link on your YouTube didn't work. Let me check that out. Which video? On the stream or on this stream or on a previous video? I just sent the link in chat. On a previous video? I'll probably have to change the description. I probably had it wrong. It's probably the old link in the description of that video. What's good, Zach? Yeah, check that one. I just sent you a new one in chat. How was your last week? It was good. Solid. I took a couple trades. It was green. Been just focusing on ES and AQ with the Solus plan. Started trading the 1 minute. Crazy, you never thought you'd hear me say those words, but I actually really like it, and the frequency is much better. I think I came in after you sent it, so I don't see it. Maybe it didn't send yet. Give me a second. Let me see if this sends. There you go. Sorry, my thing's being slow. Slow. That's the link though. All right, let's get into this. All right, here we go. Let's do it. Very first thing that we do every single Sunday is use the economic calendar as our roadmap. Now, I actually just realized I only did USD for this screenshot, so let me go back and grab all the other currencies. But I'll run through the USD one as well, because why not? Here, let me grab a new screenshot. All right, so I'll run through USD first, might as well, now that I have it on the chart. So for my indices traders, that is me. For my majors traders, you know, your USD, GBP, USD, etc. You want to be basing your weekly economic calendar off the US dollar, and you want to be using that as your roadmap for the week. So for my indices guys, for my majors guys, anything that's correlated to the US dollar, we have no news on Monday or Tuesday, and then we have FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday. So what we can see on weeks like this is that price tends to consolidate and hold up for these big 3 news events, for these news drivers. Meeting minutes, if I'm not mistaken, is less volatile. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I really don't tweak over news. I don't tweak about the fundamentals. I just understand what days there's red folder and understand that those days are going to have volatility injection in price. But so we have FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday. That's our first red folder of the week. Monday and Tuesday we have a lack of news. So like for my solos trading plan, for example, I'll trade Monday and Tuesday, but I'm going to be inherently more picky. I'm going to be more demanding of price. I think skeptical is the right word. I'm going to be more skeptical of price on Monday and Tuesday when we don't have news. So I think skeptical is the best way to explain it. I'm waiting for price to show me on Monday and Tuesday that it actually wants to move. And if it doesn't do that, then I'd just rather sit out. So that's how I approach days without news with the solos trading plan. Like just looking at ES and NQ, during 8 to 12, we usually have volatility and can move. But on the days without news, I'll trade, but I'm much more skeptical. Like I need to see that price actually wants to move. What's up, Blaze? What's up? Thursday, we have unemployment claims, red folder, and then we have flash services, PMI, manufacturing, PMI. So red folder on Thursday, and then we have red folder on Friday for USD. Powell will speak. And let me pull up the other currencies now. So that's how we're looking at USD, right? We have nothing on Monday or Tuesday. Interesting, we actually have nothing on Monday for any of these currencies. So yeah, Monday looks like a dud, potentially. Not really interested in trading on Monday. Accumulation for the weekly profile and a lack of news. Probabilistically speaking, it's more likely going to be consolidation than not. And so, yeah, we want to steer clear. Tuesday, we have Canadian dollar, CPI, red folder. So Canadian dollar pairs could be good for intraday on Tuesday. Then we have that FOMC meeting minutes on US dollar on Wednesday. Euro, GBP, and USD all have news on Thursday, so those can be good for intraday trading. These are, again, these red folder days are the days that we're likely to move and expand. Canadian dollar on Friday, USD on Friday, and then pound on Friday. First thing that we do after looking at the economic calendar, is get an understanding of what dollar is doing, because dollar is the world currency. Dollar is, you know, going to impact and affect everything else. So looking at the monthly, we're finally moving out of this monthly range here. We took this sell side on the monthly. We have this next candle low and this low that I'm looking at potentially. If we expand through this sell side, you know, if we don't show signs of sweeping that discount array on the monthly and we just expand through, I'd be looking for lower dollar. What we're seeing is we were sweeping here. We actually didn't retest this area here, which is interesting because I was watching to see if we did that, but we just created a breakaway gap lower. And so now I'd be looking at this previous week's low as well as this sell side down here. As the next draw, it looks like we're just continuing to expand. This strong bodied weekly candle is going to be lower time frame for value gaps. It's going to be strength on the lower time frames. So the daily is respecting this overlapping area, this internal. And we're getting clear 4 hour for value gaps lower. So I'm definitely looking at lower on dollar. This looks really clear to me to go lower. Yeah, I like this. This looks nice. Dollar looks pretty clear. And so when dollar's clear, you want to be trading the majors. You want to be trading the things that are correlated to dollar. So we know that if dollar's going lower, then AU, EU, GU, NU are going higher. And UCAD, UCHF, UJPY in a perfect world should be going lower. So bearish on dollar for sure, for sure. I'm not going to add it to the list because I don't trade dollar, but just understand that, right? I'd go into this understanding now that I'm bearish on dollar. So pretty interesting. Clear dollar usually is a good sign for us. Australian dollar. So if we have lower dollar, we're going to have higher currencies. Australian dollar sweeping this monthly sell side, creating clear expansion through this area of fair value. So because we're failing to offer fair value and just expanding through it, creating gaps through it, I'm actually looking for higher prices here, and that aligns perfectly with lower dollar. We're failing to respect this weekly gap and head lower. The daily shifting order flow here, likely going to create a new daily for value gap on Monday. So I would want to see a gap form here, but I'm looking for higher prices towards the buy side on the weekly. This will be an area where we might have a bit of a reaction here, this weekly gap, but ultimately looking for higher prices. And so I'm bullish on Australian dollar, but we need to wait for context, which we might get on Monday. So I'll actually throw it on the wait list. I am bullish on Australian dollar, but we need to wait for this third candle close to have daily context. So it'll be on the wait list. I'll be watching it for clear context. Looks good though for higher. And again, when dollar is clear, the currencies are clear. When all of these things are in harmony and clear, higher probability conditions are upon us. And so it's much easier to trade crosses and whatnot when dollar is clear. Let's look at pound. Similar thought process here, right? Lower dollar, so we're going to be expecting higher currency. Weekly internal to externals playing out here. Respecting this overlapping order block and fair value gap. So things are clearing up. This looks a lot better. What did you take trade in the last week? I traded NQ. I can show you the trades I took. All right, so daily order block. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Order block overlapping here. Being respected by price. Yeah, this looks nice. Pound looks strong. And so very, very clear bullish bias here, bullish draw, but we're waiting for context, which we may potentially get from the daily. We do have this weekly internal to external context. Actually, I forgot. So I'm going to add this to the long list. It already has context to operate within. We have a clear draw. And so this goes on the long list. This looks really good. I like this. I'm a fan. You guys see the difference between how things look when it's high probability and how it looks when it's low? Things feel a lot more obvious. Things are expanding versus when dollar's unclear and then all these currencies look unclear. We just want to sit on our hands and wait. You know, when everything feels unclear and sloppy, that's your sign to just sit out and protect your capital. Is there a reason why CAD Swiss franc didn't play out? We had a weekly for value gap and a 4 hour for value gap. I'll have to look at it. Just remind me to go through that. I'm going to work through these currencies and then I can look at that. Well, I'll get to it down here as I work my way through. So bullish on pound. Canadian dollar has been weaker than most. Bearish monthly order flow. But now we're obviously bullish with a bearish dollar. Created this weekly gap here. Pretty sloppy daily. It looks like a breakaway gap on the weekly. No daily context, but monthly is gross on euro. Straight chop. But the weekly is likely creating expansion. Yep. Internal to external here played out. We're expanding through that area. Daily gap overlapping area here is playing out. Beautiful respect. Now we're creating more expansion higher. But there's no context on euro as of right now. I do expect it to fall through higher. I'd be waiting for daily context. Yen. Yen is interesting because we have this extremely bearish monthly trend. We have this area for value on the monthly. So if we're going to head lower, we want to see it respect this area on the monthly. But right now, again, we have bearish dollar. So that may lead to bullish yen. And so I'm kind of in the middle on yen, which I don't like to have arguments for both sides. So I would steer clear of this right now. The 4 hour is shifting bullish. Weekly respected this internal. So I can see signs for both sides. And we have bearish dollar. So we could potentially get bullish yen still. And so I can kind of make an argument for both sides here. But the daily 4 hour order flow is looking bullish. Narrative, context, entry. It's essentially all I do is just draw on liquidity and narrative and then an entry model. So draw on liquidity is understanding where the higher time frame is going. It's drawing to. Narrative is understanding what PD raise we're trading off in the direction of that draw on liquidity. And then entry is whatever model you want to use as long as it is some form of an order flow shift. So it needs to have a shift in order flow. Monthly swept the sell side here. Weekly closing inside of this gap, this area for value. Not a good sign for shorts. We have bearish dollar as well. There's no context here, but I do expect this to fall through higher. I don't use SMT. I don't need it. It works. I'm not against it. I don't think that I have any issues with it. It's just not something that I need. And so it's just kind of noise to me. If I can get to the same destination in a simpler way, then I just don't see a reason to use SMT. Monthly, respecting this monthly SIBI. Weekly, respecting this weekly gap. So kind of the same thing here on Swiss franc as yen, where I can kind of see both sides. 4 hours likely shifting with this wick. Yep. All right, so the 4 hour looks bullish and it's shifting from this gap. I can see both sides here because we have the weekly internal to external, but we have the monthly respecting this gap as well as bearish dollar. So again, I would probably favor longs, but I can see both sides here. And I want to just stick to the currencies that are extremely clear and obvious. So those are my thoughts. The analysis on AU, EU, GU, all of these majors is going to be the exact same as these currencies. The only difference is these will be inverse of the USD. that's all going to be the same. What I just said here will apply perfectly to majors. All right, let's look at AUD CAD. I'm actually going to get rid of all these drawings. Monthly order flow was bearish, shifted. Now I would mechanically consider this bullish monthly order flow. We're respecting this overlapping order block and gap. So I'm looking at this buy side as the draw on the monthly. We have nice monthly context. That's what you want to see. Then you have the entire month of a clear draw on liquidity, and you want to be trading in that direction. So because we're expecting higher on the monthly, we want to be catching this expansion towards the monthly draw. Is the future chart the same as XXX USD chart? Exactly. So I'll just explain that. So 6A, 6B, 6C, 6E. Actually, sorry, 6A, 6B, 6E, and 6N are AUD, Euro USD, GBP USD, NZD USD. The only difference here is that 6J, 6S, and 6C, so CAD, Yen, and Swiss franc, they're XXX USD. So they're just going to be inverse of this. For these majors, US dollar is the base currency, and so they're just going to be inverse. So this is it's a Swiss franc over US dollar, whereas this is US dollar over Swiss franc. So it's the same thing, it's just inverse on these three. Hopefully that makes sense. I feel like I didn't explain that well, but monthly. Wait, where was I at? Oh, I was on. Yep. So we have a bullish draw on AUD CAD. Monthly internal to external. The weekly is creating a expansion here, slowly disrespecting this weekly gap. Daily OB, daily order flow shifting, but we haven't created a new fair value gap yet. I'd like to wait for this daily gap to get created. Then this could be nice context to head higher off of. So add this to the wait list. That daily context could be nice for longs here once that forms. But right now it just goes on the wait list. You said you use a swing model on futures, but have to close positions before 6 p.m. So I haven't been swinging futures. I've just been intraday trading futures for that very reason. If you want to trade prop on futures, the only way you can swing is with a diamond hands account with ETF. But if you are with anyone else with prop, you're going to have to intraday trade futures. But yeah, it's the same model. It's just fractal. So price is fractal. Everything that I'm doing with the swing is the same that I'm doing with the intraday. And so it's all the same stuff, just fractal, like done on lower time frames, entry on lower time frames. But I'm always understanding price from the top down. If you look at USDC's Jeff, there's no monthly fair value gap, but on the Swiss franc future, there's no monthly fair value. So what do we believe? So the currency future is just the individual currency itself. So it's going to be, Swiss franc over USD. So there's going to be slightly different things like that, but you're just understanding. You can, if you want, you can just look at the currencies. What I like to do is just pair weak and strong currencies. I'm not really worried about if there's a difference in data feeds. Like if you go to crosses on forex and we look at Oanda, but we compare it to forex.com, there's going to be differences like that. So it's just differences in data feeds. I would just focus on whatever you're trading. But that's a good question. Monthly sell side being swept here. Strong wick, strong sign of respect here. This sell side being swept. Weekly likely has a gap. Yeah, we have this overlapping gap here that we're drawing to. So I'm looking for higher prices towards this weekly gap. After sweeping that monthly sell side, this looks pretty good for longs. But it's actually an external to internal move. So people aren't really comfortable with this. I get a lot of questions about that and if they should use it. I have no issues trading towards internal. What you can do is frame a 4-hour or daily internal to external move towards that internal draw. This looks pretty good for longs as well. Strong sweep here. AJ died. We have this weekly gap here that we're closing within. Pretty strong close within that. You kind of see both sides here. This doesn't feel the cleanest to me. I want to see how we react from this weekly gap. So right now, I'll add it to the wait list, but it just doesn't feel the cleanest to me. I like to feel extremely obvious about what I'm looking at. Monthly, internal to external, slowly playing out. Already swept that external, but weekly, respecting this discount array. Also respecting this SIBI. 4 hour shifted bearish. This, I can see kind of both sides here again. I don't like to trade these correlation pairs. So I don't like to trade AN or EG. They don't move that clean. When I'm trading forex, I prefer to not trade AN or EG and just use them for correlation. So if we're bullish on AN, then Australian dollar is stronger than New Zealand dollar. And if we're bearish on AN, then Australian dollar is weaker than New Zealand dollar. Monthly sweep here again, similar. Weekly, this is very, very similar. So we're on CAD CHF. I remember you asked a question about that previously. Is there a reason why CAD CHF didn't play out? We had a weekly 4 hour fair value gap plus 4 hour. Weekly fair value gap plus 4 hour fair value gap. Let's see. I would want to look at the individual currencies and what they were doing at that time. Yeah, I see we have this weekly gap. I don't like this much because we just swept this major discount array. This is what, what I was talking about last week. So one of the reasons that might not have played out well is because we just swept this major discount array on the monthly. So now we might actually be seeking a premium array up here. And so the draw on liquidity might want to disrespect this weekly gap and head higher. After sweeping a major premium or discount array on the monthly or weekly, you want to take a step back and kind of let price show you what it's doing. And so I see that we had this weekly gap that you're looking at, and then we had the 4 hour shift. But one thing that I do when I'm trading these forex pairs is understand the currencies, the individual currencies and what they're saying. It's very, very important to understand. So like CAD CHF, if we're expecting lower, on CAD CHF, we want a weak Canadian dollar and we want a strong Swiss franc. But right now, these two currencies to me feel kind of 50-50. They don't feel that clear. So I would tend to stay away from a pair like that right now. I always want to be trading a weak and a strong currency pair where it feels really obvious what they want. CAD yen swept the monthly sell side again, so we want to opt for caution. Weekly, respecting this overlapping area. This is our area of fair value, so this could be a good short here if we fall through lower. I would want to see clear displacement lower. If we're going to go lower, we should do so from here. 4 hours shifting. This looks pretty good. A lot of liquidity down here as well. This is what they do. They will engineer liquidity like this. Consolidate, engineer all this sell side, and then they'll get these fast low resistance liquidity runs through that. This is how price books. This looks pretty good for shorts. Monthly, weekly gap here. Daily sloppy. I don't like this. Just not a fan. Monthly buy side sweep. Weekly gap down here. This area for value here. Daily is not creating gaps lower, which is interesting. So I'd be looking lower towards this weekly gap, but there's no, I guess there is external to internal context here for shorts. Yeah, this isn't terrible. Frame shorts towards that gap. So our draw is towards this weekly gap. We want to be trading off the 4 hour, 1 hour discount arrays in the direction of that weekly draw. Monthly pushing but sloppy. Weekly not showing any intention really. Daily has internal to external, but I don't love this. At least on the higher time frames, it didn't look that good. Should potentially head higher towards that buy side up here, but not the most beautiful. So I feel like I understand that GBP is very strong and Euro is strong. Australian dollar is strong. So I would actually favor majors this week. Pair the strong currency with a weak currency, which is US dollar. So we have a weak dollar and we have strong individual currencies. So now the majors look interesting to me this week. I have no idea where I just left off. I think it was EuroCAD. Monthly sell side sweep. Weekly disrespecting this area here. Daily gaps higher. Skip Euro. Sloppy again. I don't like trading these correlation pairs. I have not discussed NASDAQ yet. I'm almost there. Almost there. Monthly bearish but sloppy. Again, I don't like trading these correlated pairs. I just use them for correlation. Weekly internal to external here. Overlapping. 4 hour. Would want to see a clear shift out of this area here. If we get a nice shift and clear expansion higher, then perhaps Euro is going to be stronger than pound. But right now, the inverse is true. Monthly, weekly context here. Respecting the middle of this. Weekly gap. There's this liquidity lower that's generated here. It looks nice. 4 hour shifting. Euro yen looks good too. So we want a strong euro and a weak yen. That's what we would want to see shorts on euro yen. Sorry, I'm blanking right now. Monthly. Wait, euro is the base currency. I just said that wrong. So ignore what I just said. Sorry, like I said, I had a blank there. Weekly. Let me look at this. Monthly is on the third candle, setting up that weekly gap, but we have 12 days till that. Monthly is really sloppy consolidation. And so from the monthly shop like this, it's not ideal. We're sweeping this buy side now. 4 hour. Sweeping this, creating gaps lower, just chop. I'm not a fan. We are, do you see the difference though? We're creating gaps, right? We're creating these gaps, but it's just chop. So just because we're like, look at the weekly, if you zoom out, this is consolidation. So just because we're creating gaps doesn't mean that it's high probability. Not all fair value gaps are created equal. And so you have to understand price on the higher time frame and what it's doing. Pound AUD. Monthly bullish order flow, this order block here. Weekly fair value area. All this engineered liquidity. Looks too 50-50 for my liking. Not a big fan. Monthly bullish order flow, weekly respecting this area here. I'd be looking at this buy side as a draw. This isn't as bad. Daily. Order flow shifting bullish. Want to see a new gap here to frame longs off of, but this could be decent. For longs, I'm going to add it to the long list. Pound CHF. Monthly stop hunt here. Hunting this buy side. Weekly gap here. Overlapping with this high being respected. That looks nice. Want to see this shift in the 4 hour. We have all this liquidity, nice structure for lower. Add it to the short list. Interesting though, because we have bullish pound, so the order flow is conflicting there. Weekly, internal to external, daily gap. I just steer clear of this as of right now. Monthly bullish order flow. The daily shifting bullish. This looks nice. Add that to the long list. Monthly chop. Again, not all fair value gaps are created equal. This is not an equal high probability for value gap. Low probability win in consolidation. Weekly respecting this area, and then now we're getting a disrespect. It closed through that weekly gap. Not the biggest fan of this, but it looks like it might want to go higher. Weekly overlapping area here, I would want to see respect. I want to see price shift from here. Potentially head lower if it does. So far not following through well. I was looking at this breaker potentially. Looks like this would have been a loss had I taken it. I'm not trading forex lately. I've just been looking at indices, but this was that weekly gap overlapping with the 4-hour overlapping unicorn. Breaker's still respecting it, still can, but it doesn't look that great. Weekly for value gap here, New Zealand dollar yen. I'd put more of my focus on the majors this week for my forex guys. That's where my head would be at. Indices. Indices have been my bread and butter lately. I'm loving every second of trading them, and that's where I've been putting all my focus. And so what we see is we have a bullish, clear bullish monthly trend, bullish monthly order flow, right? It's very, very obvious that this is bullish on the monthly. This order flow is still bullish. Discount arrays are being respected by price. We're respecting this order block here. Clear wick, clear expansion here. The daily. We drop into the daily. Well, the weekly just had a strong expansion. Respecting that monthly order block. The daily has shifted order flow now to bullish. And now we have this new daily gap to potentially frame longs off of. Looks very, very nice. It's all-time highs potentially is where I'm looking at on the monthly. We'll be looking for higher prices on indices. Thus, longs are always going to be higher probability right now in alignment with the higher time frame order flow and draw. Bullish on indices for sure. Called this all out in the private group. You know, we've been talking about this as our draw. I called this out last week before the week even expanded. Once we fail to offer fair value here, we're looking for this buy side. We're seeking this opposing liquidity. And so this was all called out live. Looking at indices higher. Looks really nice though. Indices have been very clean. August wasn't that clean in general. It hasn't been, but indices have been a bright spot. We have this daily gap to potentially head higher off of. Would want to read the lower time frame order flow and see if we want to retrace here to potentially head higher. I could very much see that. That's what I'd be looking for on indices, is a retest of this gap before heading higher. So we'll see if that follows through. We'll be able to gauge that off the lower time frame order flow and where it's pointing. Bullish on indices for sure. Monthly chop consolidation. Weekly. Respecting this weekly gap here, this sell side imbalance. Four-hour looks very bearish. This is clean 4-hour structure. Respecting that weekly Sibia, I'd actually be looking for lower. We have this nice context to operate off of, this clear draw on the weekly from internal to external. 4-hour creating gaps lower, respecting. Looking at shorts on crude oil. Gold has been very, very bullish. monthly expansion, weekly expanding through this buy side, daily as well, creating a potential gap on Monday. Gold looks very bullish. I'll add it to the wait list, just waiting for more context on that, but it looks clear that this wants to go higher. Silver has clearly been weaker than gold. We're respecting this order block, but we want to be taking longs on gold because it's clearly stronger. We have this draw towards this weekly gap on silver, but again, it's not as strong as gold. And gold just looks better for longs. I add them both to the wait list, but I would definitely favor gold longs because it's relatively stronger. And yeah, those are my thoughts. Looks pretty solid. I'm excited for this week. It looks like it could be high probability. It looks like we could have really nice delivery this week. And so these are the weeks when you want to be pressing the gas, but you need to let price show you that it's actually high probability first. And yeah, so we have the long list, the short list, and then the wait list going into this week. This is basically where I'm at, what I'm seeing. Let me know if you guys have any questions or anything you want me to clear up. But if you see a setup when your mmxm model is not generated liquidity, there's always liquidity that we're targeting. There's always some liquidity. So it's ideal to see those failure swings and that low resistance liquidity. It's nice because then we tend to get those quick moves, those low resistance liquidity runs, but it's not a requirement. Hopefully for whoever was looking at my or waiting for my NQ analysis, you were here for it, but I'm looking at higher prices on indices. This could be a nice little move here. Indices are just, I've been loving the focus of just putting my focus on indices, like just increased focus and staying locked in on them has been really nice. But yes, I'll send these in the Discord for you guys, so everyone has the watch list for the week and what I'm seeing. I will be live trading in the Discord throughout the week in the Trading Patiently Academy Discord, so definitely tune into that if you guys haven't checked it out. We'll be live trading in there. Been focusing on ES and AQ, just trading my Solus model, which has been really nice. And yeah. It's just called Stream Beats. If you go on Spotify and look up Stream Beats by Harris Heller, that's all it is. But yeah, I've worked through everything. I'll send the watch list in the Discord. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the free Discord if you guys are in there. Stay tuned for the watch list. I'll send those in there. You have them right now. But yeah, that's really it for the forecast. Let's have a really good week. I'm excited for this week. I think it actually looks good. And yeah, make sure you guys stay disciplined. Don't dull your edge. Don't, fall victim to yourself, right? Make sure that you're allowing the numbers to play out and you're executing on your model in the best way possible. Focus on your performance. That should be your focus going into every week. Executing at the highest ability possible, because an edge is only as sharp as its operator. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good week, and hopefully the forecast was insightful. I'll see you guys in the free Discord, and for those of you that are in the academy, I will see you in there. We'll be live trading this week and doing a bunch of stuff, so definitely stay tuned. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.